Howdy, y'all. This is Dan and Jen or Jenn and Dan with Knucklehead's Guide to Marriage. If you hear howling in the background, our neighbor has a dog that anytime she leaves it alone, it sits there and howls, and it does it all day.
He gets lonely.
It's lonely. It has separation anxiety. I had a Dalmatian in college that had that, and when I got him he stopped doing it because he had somebody to play with, and I don't mean that actually he was her mate, so because I used to breed him, but anyway, that's a different story for another time. The topic today we're going to cover is living together before you're married. Our opinion, don't do it. There were statistics in the past that used to say that all 90% of married couples that live together first ended in divorce. Those numbers have dropped. Right now, according to Pew Research Center, it's right about 51% of all people that live together that get married in a divorce, where the national average is 41% of first-time marriages, but it's 50% of all marriages end in divorce. And again, this is according to Pew Research Center. At a study they did in November, I think, of 2019 or 2020. I need to double check that. But anyway, the other thing about this that they mentioned is that 50% of all couples that live together first never get married. So if you add those two together, that's a pretty high percentage of failure rate for relationships of folks who live together. 50% never get married, and of those, 51% end in divorce. So that's a pretty high relationship failure rate versus 41% of new marriages that didn't live together first, and then 50% of all marriages. That includes the ones who live together first. So the numbers of all marriages is kind of skewed. Anyway, don't do it. That's my opinion. Also, biblical perspective, don't do it. I know it's kind of tough to do nowadays. According also to that study, 69% of all people surveyed thought it was okay to live together first. That shows a very big shift in our society, because that number was the not acceptable about 30 years ago, that it wasn't acceptable to live together first. Now it's shifted. About 70% of all people surveyed say it is, and that just shows a shift in our society as to the way we believe, a more liberal social belief within our society, of a step away from religious beliefs, a step away from marriage and family. You can see that higher divorce rates. You can also see a lot of changes because of that, and we can get into a lot of different things that are a result of non-marriage, and having kids out of wedlock, things of that nature. So, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, I'm just trying to think why couples would be likely to take that step to move in together before marriage, and I can basically come up with like a reason as to like what I think people would jump into that situation, would be like to combine finances, to split the cost of living, especially with what we went through last year with the pandemic. But I want to basically exercise, I would say err on the side of caution before just jumping in and living with somebody, because just because it sounds like a good idea financially, it doesn't mean that's the best idea emotionally, because you don't know what the future is going to hold, and if you're not legally married to them. I was also thinking another reason too. I mean, if you've got children involved, because a lot of people in relationships, there might be kids from a previous marriage or relationship. You also have to take that into consideration. But I think finances is probably the biggest reason why people just want to jump into the whole cohabitating. And I like I said, I want to err on the side of caution, warning people that's not always the best idea whatsoever. And, if it's a thing where, we want to get married, but, we don't have the money for the wedding. Well, okay, well, maybe that might change down the road. But, just because you don't have the money to have the wedding of your dreams doesn't mean you can't just go get married. Go to the courthouse. I mean, that's what Dan and I did. It was just a quick but a beautiful service, and it didn't have to be extravagant. And, and God had in mind that he still had a big wedding planned for us down the line. We actually did get that experience in 2017, later along, maybe 4 years later. So, this is, last time I checked, you were an adult. and you can do things differently. It doesn't mean you have to go the normal route, but I always think it's try to be follow a good path. It doesn't have to be what everybody expects. You don't have to go tell everybody that you got married. I mean, you could say, hey, let's get married on paper and move in together, and then you don't have to say anything to anybody until you guys are ready to throw that big soiree. I mean, you're the adult, you write the rules. It's your life, not anybody else's.
Sure.
So I think people just need to start thinking a little bit more outside the box. We kind of help things too in that perspective.
Yeah. So as far as finances are concerned, if you're really concerned about your finances, get a roommate. Don't do the cohabitation thing. No, there's going to be people that are going to disagree with this, and that's fine. You can disagree with it.
And there's going to be people saying, well, I moved in with my fiance before we got married, and we've been married 25 years, and it's been perfect. Well, that's great, but just bear this in mind. You're the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
So I'm saying you're lucky.
Yeah. So basically, actually, if you use the statistics that 50% of all people that live together first don't end up getting married, they end up breaking up, and then 51% of all marriages that live together first end up breaking up. You have like a 25% chance of staying with your spouse if you live together first. It's something in those numbers. It's somewhere around there. So those are low percentages versus 50%. And it's sad because divorce is too easy nowadays. It used to be you had to have a reason to get divorced. He's an alcoholic. She's cheating. I have proof that she's cheating. It's abuse. Those types of things. Now it's I've found somebody better. I have a flavor of the month. I have a flavor of the week. Whatever. Or
and
we fight too much. Well, then go to counseling and get go get marriage counseling and if make the marriage work. It's just too easy to get divorced nowadays.
And what do you always say about grass is greener on the other side? When you get there, it's what?
Spray painted weeds.
Spray painted weeds.
And it's funny. I have a friend of mine, Craig, that I told that to when I was in the car business back in Toyota. He was my general manager and was talking about moving to another dealership. And I told him, I was like, look, dude, you can go anywhere you want, but the reality is the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. It's just spray painted weeds. Grass is greenest where you tend it. So if you want a good marriage, you tend the marriage. That's what this whole channel is about. Is about taking care of your marriage, taking care of the people that the two of you, being unselfish, focusing on your mate instead of focusing on yourself. So. There's also biblical reasons why you don't get married, or pardon me, you live together before you're married. So
especially if you're dragging kids into it as well. Mm-hmm. That is, if you have kids coming from a previous marriage or relationships, definitely reconsider just moving in with somebody, because if that does not end up working out, it's going to be so traumatic on the kids.
Yep.
You have to think about the kids.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You don't want to, and you don't want to set a bad example. Now, whether people view it as a bad example, that's to each their own. But that's something that you can't undo later down the line. When the kids see that, then you can't undo that. So
I was fortunate
when they grow up.
Yeah, that's true. I was very fortunate, and my kids, as far as a relationship they have with adults, have a great relationship with Jennifer. I was fortunate that I met Jennifer very quickly. The kids got along with her great, and we got married as quick as we possibly could, and we didn't live together first. I never lived with anybody before I got married, so that's was a choice that I made. I had an opportunity to, didn't want to do that. Maybe I should have, broke up, and that's another story. So anyway, I don't really have anything more to add to this. It's just that, especially when kids are involved, especially if both of you have kids, that's a great way to break a kid's heart. They get used to that person around.
Yep.
You've been together for 6-7 years. You decide it's time to split up. That's tough.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm. And granted, yeah, it's a coin flip. It's 50% chance that you guys are going to end up divorced. 51% chance. There's a 50% chance that you guys are going to end up breaking up in the first place. So, don't hurt those kids' hearts. As an adult, as a parent, you have a responsibility to those children. I love what Dr. Laura used to say, and I had intended to do that until I met her. If you end up breaking up, you end up divorcing, then don't date until your kid's 18 and out of the house, so they don't end up with a broken heart. because another relationship ends. So that's all I have to say on that. Is there anything else you think you need to add?
No, I think.
Okay. So, it's a controversial topic. We're going against the grain because, according to that Pew Research that I keep quoting, you can Google it. Only 14% say that it's not acceptable to be married first. So we are definitely in the minority on this one. But it's how we feel. It's based on the Bible. That we are a faith-based channel. And if you guys have any questions, you have any comments, I mean, you may completely disagree with us, and that's fine. It's totally up to you. It's your choice. Our hope is that if you make the decision to live together first, that you do not end up in divorce. Divorce is a horrible thing. I do never recommend somebody to go through it. Anyway, questions, comments, like, subscribe. We're open to your ideas, so just go ahead and comment below, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.